YouTube, anticss here with the swole on, the fro on, and if you need the explainer, I am the Alpha Tamer, and today I'm going to show you the most expensive Digimon TCG deck you have ever seen. Okay, so we are here at my at-home setup, and I had to flex a little bit. I have my Alphamon on the side, my Digi-Egg of Miracles on the side. You know how the Alpha Tamer does it. And I also have my Ghost Rare Alpha. Don't worry, I did not play this card in my deck. It's just here, just to have a little bit of a flex because this deck is a little on the pricier side, and it's not like your average Royal Knight deck. So let's get right into the deck profile. Starting off with the eggs, of course, we played the 4 Yggdrasils. Nothing much to say about it besides the fact that I refuse to call it by its English name, and I'm only going to ever call it Yggdrasil. So you guys know you have to play 4. Starting off with the non-Royal Knight cards, we played 2 Blanc, 2 CL, and 3 Omekamon. I really valued just having cards that would push my game plan forward. So that's why I went lower on the Sistermon count. I know a lot of people will play 3 of either each of these or one of these. I like Omekamon a lot more than both of these cards because not only does it put a card in my hand like these two do, but it also puts a card under my Yggdrasil in like obviously my best case scenarios. But I do value this card a lot more. I really like just pushing this deck along as much as I can because I think the thing that this deck needs in a format so fast is to be able to get to its game plan as fast as possible. And then for options, we played 2 Seiken Meppa and 4 Royal Knights of the Purge. So I don't have to explain the Royal Knights of the Purge, but spoiler alert, I am playing a GX build, and I think the Seiken Meppa card in general is just a great card in this deck. You do not gain the memory off of the Yggdrasil's inheritables, but it's still a great card because sometimes it could be your hybrid for game. When you're forced to use your Omni early and you only have 3 Royal Knights to their 3 security and you swing with all 3, you can play this card, unsuspend one of your Royal Knights, and just swing again for game. So I think this card is really great. It's also insane with the GX, and I'll explain a couple of combos that I've done with it later. We played 2 Marcus. The space in this deck is really tight, especially because I played these really expensive techs in the deck. The space was tight. Once again, like I said, when we were talking about the Sistermons, I really more so value cards that's going to push my game plan forward. And this card is more of just a reactive card. It's like, oh, you played a play cost blocker. I'm going to play this just to kill it and get 3 memory next turn. I don't think this deck struggles too much with having memory, but utilizing your memory is really important in the correct way. So I thought 2 was just fine. I probably wouldn't bump this card up to 3. Getting to the meat and potatoes of the deck, we are going to get to the Royal Knights. First off, the 4 ofs. We played 4 Omnimon, and we played 4 Dynus, and we played 4 Magna. So I think 4 Omnimon is completely non-negotiable. You need to play 4 of this card because if you don't see this card, you will most likely lose. I haven't seen a Royal Knight player win without getting an Omnimon off. It's probably few and far in between when it does happen. So I think 4 is just non-negotiable. 4 Dynus, 4 Magna. So like I said earlier with the Sistermons, I really value pushing my game plan forward. So if I can open either of these 2 cards, not only am I going to get a card off of both of these, so Dynus will get me 2, Magna will get me 1 later, but now I just added a source to my Yggdrasil. So whereas I would have played a sister just to draw cards, I played a Royal Knight, I got a card in my hand, and I got a source to my Yggdrasil. It's the same reason I love Omekamon. So I just really valued having these guys in my openers, and so I wanted to maximize my opportunity to see them in my opener, which is why I thought 4 was the best. Also, Dynus ends up being very good when you're using your Purge of the Royal Knights card because you can purge him out, you won't get his on play, but if you play another Royal Knight, now the Dynus can pop their play cost blockers. It can pop, just pesky cards that they're using a chip and try and get a tempo advantage on you. So having a Dynus, I think, as a 4 of is almost mandatory. Moving on to my 3 of Royal Knights, we played 3 Gankumon, and we played 3 Leopard. These are the only 2 3-ofs. The Ganku's very good because it allows you to reuse all of your Royal Knights, which is very powerful, and it's a blocker, so it kind of slows your opponent down. So I thought 3 was the perfect number for it. I wouldn't bump it down. I wouldn't bump it up. 3 was just absolutely insane. I wish I could play 4 Leopardmons. This card is just absurd. It's so powerful. Being able to stack its reduction with Idrisil reduction to like play Omni just allows you to pop off earlier than your opponent usually accounts for. So it's just a very good card. You can't play less than 3 of this card. I really wish I could play 4. And with the 2-ofs, we played 2 Craney, 2 Jess, 2 Alpha, 2 Gallant, and 2 GX. So the space is really tight, which is why I only played 2 Alpha. And you guys are probably like, all right, anticss, you're the Alpha Tamer. Why are you only playing 2 Alpha? Well, for one, 2 of them are in my ex-Antho body deck, my Alphamon deck. And you guys will probably see that deck profile soon. But for 2, because of the way this version of the deck for me flowed, I found 2 being just enough because you realistically only need to see this card once, and then you can recur it with like your Gankumon. So I thought 2 was just fine. 2 Craney. This card isn't, in my opinion, necessary at more than 2, but I could see an argument for playing a 3rd for the Shine matchup because the Shine matchup is tough for this deck. But 2 was just fine. 2 Jess. This isn't mandatory against any matchup, so I think 2 of this was fine. 2 Gallant. Once again, my space is really tight, but there's other combos I have in this deck that kind of do what Gallant would do for me. So 2 of this card was also just fine. And then the 2 GX. This card is so freaking good in this deck. The fact that you're able to you can Seiken Meppa with this card. You can pop your Purge to bring it out from underneath your Idrisil. You can swing. You can Seiken. Tuck under you could Seiken, unsuspended, tuck any Royal Knight under you want. Let's say you want to tuck in a Gallant or a Jess. Now you just pop their play cost blocker and you just swung for 2 more checks after it already swung for 1. So you swung 3 total checks on your opponent while also clearing a body for 0 memory. I mean, you paid the 3 for the Seiken, but 3 memory just to take away 3 security and to get rid of a body all at the same time, I think is just very strong. So this card is a sleeper in this deck, and I think more people should be exploring the GX card in the Royal Knights. Getting into my 1-ofs, this is where it gets maybe a little bit spicier. You guys have seen the spice of the Seiken, you've seen the spice of the GX, but now we're getting to the 1-ofs. We play 1 Ulforce. I think this card is great. I don't think you need it at 2 because it only, in my opinion, really comes up in the Alpha matchup, which unfortunately for me, this deck already has a good matchup into. So I don't think you really need it at more than 1. I could see the argument for 2 because it is a very good card, but I only play 1. I play 1 Lord Knight. Lord Knight is great for recycling, recycling anything you want, including your Seiken Meppa, which I think that card is just so phenomenal. So it's a great card, and people sleep on this card. Its other opponent's turn effect, Ice Wall on Legs, is just very good as well. And then 1 Kentaurus. This card could be cut. The memory gain has come up for me once, but also just having the extra swing with this card is super strong. Like I said, sometimes you have to pop the Idrisil early with the Omni play, and so your extra swings matter a lot. So the card is good. We played 1 of the BT13 Exa. I've seen people play the old Exa, and I think that card is probably objectively better than this one. But sometimes you need to be able to just hard drop this to stun something, like the old school Puppetmon play from back in 1.5 format, right? Card's very good. 14 play cost. Not the worst thing in the world, but it is pretty steep. So just 1 is perfectly fine. Now I'll get into the spiciest and most expensive part of the deck. The first card is not expensive, but it is definitely spicy. We play 1 of the old school Jessmon. So before you click off, hear me out. This card allows you to reuse your sisters because it doesn't have any on plays when digivolving. It's only when attacking. So you can pop your Purge, bring your Jess out from underneath your King. You can swing, play your Blanc from trash, Blanc, trash a card, draw 2. You just did all of that for 0 memory, and now you dug deeper into your deck to hopefully see your omnis that you were missing or see other cards. But now, check this out. Let's say you're at 3 memory, you have Marcus on board. You can play Seiken to unsuspend it. His when attacking is not once per turn. So you can swing with the Jess, and now you can play another block, or you can play a CL, and you just went 2 checks and you dug 4 to 5 cards deeper into your deck off of just this card. This card is very good. Shout out to my friend Maisa, who is a part of one of my testing groups that I'm in. He is the one who first told me about that play, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why aren't we playing this card in Royal Knights? This is great. So I really liked it, and it actually performed, and the digging came up quite often, so I loved it. And then for the most expensive part of the deck, we play 1 Raid Gallant OT Cup. So this is where the deck gets fun. I truly loved building this deck just to have a good time with it, and this card performed so well. When you're not popping something 6k or lower with its when attacking, you're trashing a security. That's insane tempo, because you can, I think against a Mirage player, he had his Mirage suspended, so I just crashed into it and I trashed the security, and the tempo was just so far in my favor, because when you're trashing the Purge to bring this card out from the King Idrisil, you're doing it for 0 memory. Like, it's just such a great tempo play, and this card is just so phenomenal, and it allows you to do so many different things. Also, if your opponent starts to get a little like maybe gratuitous with their play cost blockers, being able to bring this card out, raid into 1 card, pop the play cost blocker is very good. Sometimes you're popping 2 play cost blockers. So it comes up a lot, and this card will never not be in a Royal Knight deck that I play. For the last expensive card, we play 1 Tamer Party Magna. I actually really like this card, especially because I'm playing the GX build, because you can Seiken unsuspend, or if, let's say, you did your Omni turn and you swung with all your guys and you didn't have game, you can evo your GX over one of your level 6 Royal Knights that are within the requirements, right? You can tuck the Magna, unsuspend, blitz for game. I'm pretty sure it works like that. I never tried it, so I didn't do any illegal plays if it doesn't work like that. But even just the unsuspending, and it's a blocker on your turn, is really strong. So going back to the Magnas that I spoke about way earlier in the deck profile, I valued being able to drop first turn Royal Knights to just have my sources earlier. I think this card is great. Also, being able to have more cheaper Royal Knights for when you purge out your Dynast, when your opponent has a play cost blocker, then you can hard drop this. You're not giving them that much more memory, and then the Dynast procs to pop. It was all very good. This card is very good. Magnamon's my second favorite Digimon behind Alphamon. This is why I have the Digimon of Miracles next to me. I don't think I'll ever cut this card. Okay, YouTube, so that was my Royal Knight deck profile that I took to my store championships and went undefeated with. I planned on doing this deck profile anyways because I thought it was unique with me playing, the really expensive guys. But I thought it was a prime opportunity to share the deck profile, because the fact that I was able to take it to store champs and go undefeated with it actually, in my opinion, showed some merit that, like, hey, you can build this deck in so many different ways and still do decently well with it. I know a lot of people may not have the patience to learn it, but I do recommend you try it. It's such a fun deck. I had a great time piloting it, and I was really happy to do so well with it. All right, YouTube, so that was the deck profile. And once again, anticss here with the swole on, the fro on, and I already gave you the explainer, but I'm going to give it to you one more time. I am the Alpha Tamer, and some would say I proved it. Peace.